Aloha, my name is John Tussey. I'd like to share some things with you today about music that I record. I live in the beautiful state of Hawaii and so thankful for that. It's a beautiful place to record music and to live. Anyways, about 4 years ago, I was introduced to a technology that enables me to record music with frequencies of the periodic table of elements. And I know that sounds really different because you think of elements like oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. You don't think of them as something that you can hear. But everything vibrates at a specific frequency, including all of the elements. So, a very brilliant professor was able, by looking at the elements on an X-ray table, through mathematical calculations, he was able to bring these elements into the audible spectrum. But not satisfied with his results, he brought them before physicists to have them checked out for accuracy. This concept was introduced to me by a friend of his who's a very brilliant quantum physicist. And I was introduced to this technology with the idea that I would release music for the purpose of healing, health, and wellness. Now, I can in no way make health claims or guarantees that anyone would be healed while listening to this music. The music was not recorded to diagnose, cure, or treat any sicknesses or diseases. However, I have testimonies from people that have experienced some really wonderful things. When I read the testimonies, I just want you to keep in mind that if you listen to the music, I'm not saying that these things are going to happen for you. But these things did happen, and I want to share them with you because they're wonderful. Vicky from Honolulu was listening to the Frequencies of Life CD. And she said, the first time I played this CD was before bedtime. I only had time to listen to half of the album. I noticed an increase in my oxygen level. I could breathe deeply and correctly again. I had undisturbed sleep throughout the night. My auntie was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer in 2011, October. One of the symptoms was depression. She listened to the CD all day, carried the CD player throughout her house. In the evening, she called to thank me for the CD. She wasn't depressed anymore. She spoke with a perky smile in her voice. My mother has no hearing in her right ear, profound hearing loss in her left ear. After her mild heart attack, she was prescribed more pills. I was determined to get her off of synthetic medication. A few days prior to her blood test, I used the CD, Frequencies of Life, as therapy. Test results were good. Her doctor decreased the dosages of her pre-diabetes medication and her cholesterol pills by half. Now this is a testimony, also by Vicky from Honolulu, about the Frequencies of Creation CD. I listened to this CD while reading a book prior to bedtime. As I listened, pain in different parts of my body left. My oxygen level increased. I had a restful night's sleep. Woke up alert and energized. Did not have the usual morning headache. After suffering 1 week with a stress headache that I went to bed with and awoke with, I finally put on the CD. I only had time to listen to half of it, but that was enough to remove the pain so I could conquer the day. Now this is a testimony from Joanne, who lives in Australia, and this is her perception and experience with listening to this music embedded with frequencies of the periodic table. She says, these frequencies work. Everything our bodies produce naturally by God. Listening to these frequencies tops up what is already inside you. Soul food. Enjoy. Personally, I have received much healing while listening. And this is Joanne from New South Wales in Australia. Now this is a testimony from Kenny in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Frequencies of Life is great. Same style as the Creation CD. I love them both. And he says regarding this music that he's listened to with Frequencies of the Periodic Table, I do get a feeling of peace and rest, like a sense of well-being. Now, I have another testimony that I'd like to share with you by Dawn, who lives in Athens, Alabama. My body is responding to these sounds of life. This is from the Frequencies of Life CD. It's as if it is consuming the sound. It's as if her body is consuming the sound, recording the sound. Somehow I feel the sounds dancing with my DNA. These sounds are pure and faithful and true. Just like Jesus, I see him riding them into my blood. He's restoring me as he rides the sounds through my veins. These sounds hold a recording of his own blood. This is how communion sounds. Now this is Dawn's experience, and I think it's wonderful. I have an experience shared from a young school teacher here in Honolulu. His name is Jeremy. I am getting very good responses from your CDs. Many teachers know what a handful my children are. I have been using your CD in the morning and during individual work time and have seen significant improvement in the duration of quiet study. Also, I have noticed that every time I listen to Frequencies of Life when I go to sleep, I wake up so energized and ready to go. That's a very encouraging testimony from Jeremy in Honolulu. Now, I'd like to share another testimony from a man named Edmund who lives in Honolulu. And Edmund is in his 80s. He walks with a cane. He'd had a stroke. And he came to a meeting that I was holding, playing the music with the Frequencies of the Periodic Table, and using lumen disc plasma projectors at the same time to enhance the experience with the elements. This is Edmund's experience, a man in his 80s from Honolulu. Edmund said, felt music and elements enter body and felt better. Overwhelming, felt good, and felt music go through body and peace too. Felt also vibrations as elements enter body. Now this is an 80-year-old man who'd had a stroke. That was a very encouraging testimony from Frequencies of Life. This is a testimony from Mary, who also lives in Honolulu, Hawaii, who came to the same meeting using the Frequencies of Life CD along with lumen disc plasma projectors. So this was Mary's experience. I felt this lightness in my body that I hadn't felt when I went up there earlier. And when she says when I went up there earlier, she meant up on the stage where the plasma projectors were. I stood near by a friend who had her hands on the plasma projectors. I wasn't touching it. I stood near by a friend, and I felt a lightness in my whole body, from my toes up. Just amazing. Just amazing. I could share many, many more testimonies with you. And I will share a couple more from the Frequencies of Thought CD. Okay. This is from Dawn in Athens, Alabama again, referring to the Frequencies of Thought CD. I had listened to it through 3 times just before this happened. He says, and this is what Dawn believes God was speaking to her. He says that this music that he's given you opens neurological pathways and realigns our brain cell receptors to receive his original frequencies. Wow, that's really awesome, Lord. And that's what Dawn had to say about the Frequencies of Life CD, Frequencies of Thought CD. I was really excited about that. I have to share this one because it's amazing. This is from Donna, and Donna, I believe, lives in Virginia. In July, I injured my left knee. I'm really not sure what I did to it, but it was causing me to limp and it began to swell. At times, it would catch or even scrape, causing me to flinch and react quickly to change position. I was icing it and keeping it up. Dawn had been teaching me how to decree and declare healing over myself, and she and Jana had been praying for my knee. I went to the doctor and he wanted to put me on some medication that would raise my blood pressure, an anti-inflammatory. I did not want to take it because of the side effects of the blood pressure. So I didn't. I babied it as much as possible, but since I am up and down the stairs all day, it was hard to really sit still and let it heal. I had a recheck at the doctor and he was going to send me to get an MRI and to see an orthopedic doctor. I really didn't want to do that. I didn't feel right. Dawn sent me your CD, Frequencies of Thought, and you told me, she's talking about me, to put the CD player right on my knee so I would absorb the frequencies of the music. I did this several times for several days, also listening to the music as much as possible. My knee began to feel better a little more each day. So much, in fact, that last week I was able to hike Wolf Rock Mountain in North Carolina, which is very steep and rooted, not an easy trail by any means. Isn't that exciting? So those are just some of the testimonies I've received. I've received many, many more. But I hope that this encourages you, hearing what God is allowing people to experience through this music. And I want to encourage you to check out my music at www.johntussey.com, www.johntussey.com. Check out the music and see if you experience anything. I hope you do. Thanks a lot and have a wonderful day. Aloha.